Hey guys, Evan from SciFreaks here. Welcome to the next day of Avengers Week and part one of my predictions for Avengers Endgame. This video will probably be mostly me rambling on about different comic book universes and Lego sets, but I think all of that is kind of apt for what has been going on in the Avengers universe and in SciFreaks itself. So strap in and look forward to me talking for a while. I'm going to try to put some video overlays and image overlays, but honestly, it really just comes down to how lazy I am. And let me just tell you right now, my lazy factor is high. I had other videos that I was going to do for this week, and I was too lazy to do them. So instead, I decided to start a microphone and start recording. Anyways, here we go. First of all, let's talk about what we know from the trailers and what we've just known in general. We know that the trailers are A, misleading, and B, super important because they don't show anything. It was mentioned a while back in an interview. Kevin Feige kind of agreed with the interviewer about how they, use maybe 20 minutes or so of the movie, the first 20 minutes or so for trailers. Now, honestly, I think it's not exactly 20 minutes. People are taking that seriously. When in agreement, he was, he kind of had to think about it for a minute and said, yeah, pretty much. Which means there's probably, some leeway. I think the general gist is that the beginning of the movie mostly is what we see in the trailers. However, there are many ways the movie could open, and I think the biggest thing is it really depends on what they want to do. They could start us low by showing us all the Infinity War deaths again, and literally picking up there, almost doing kind of a Lord of the Rings thing where the second movie takes place right after Gandalf dies. Or is it the third one? It's the second movie, I think. I need to rewatch Lord of the Rings. I know the books better. I'm just going to say that right now. Anyways, Gandalf dies, and the next movie shows you... spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen or heard of Lord of the Rings, which if you haven't, go do it now. Read the books and then see the movies. Come on. Anyways, because there are going to be a lot of Lord of the Rings references in this video. Anyways, Gandalf dies, sort of. And when he kind of goes falling down the pit, they redo that video... or that shot, sorry, at the beginning of the next movie, kind of to remind you where the characters' minds are at. And I feel like Infinity or Endgame would be a good way of a good example of something that could happen. So we might kind of see that, and then we'll probably see the next day or so what's been going on. That's where Cap will have his beard and that. But I honestly really think that what's going to happen is there could be some time in between where Cap, shaves his beard and, goes and pretty much he becomes clean shaven, normal Cap, but they all decide to just sit and relax. One of the reasons I think this is because there's no Tony Stark in the shots. Now, I will remind you that A, Tony Stark is on another planet. B, again, these are deceptive trailers. Stark could be in those shots, and we just don't see him because they're trying to be clever. Or he just doesn't happen to be in the shot. It's really hard to track the shots because two of them are mirrored shots. I'll try to overlay those if I can. But looking at it on two different trailers, two cuts, are completely different shots of the same scene reversed. And what this tells us is that they're really trying hard to disorient us and make it really difficult to see where we are in the building, where the camera is in that room, and who's standing where, because everybody's shifting around. There's constant movement. We watch Cap almost entirely circle the table with all the footage we've seen, with all the holograms and stuff. Black Widow is constantly going back and forth. So it's really hard to kind of track where these characters are, which means there could be characters being cut out. They could also have just used CGI to cut them out too. That's common. There could also be surprise characters that we don't know. There's a chance Pepper could be there. We do know that she's going to be getting her rescue suit. And actually there have been some Lego leaks of... I'm still unsure if it's actual leaks or if they're customs, but there are leaks of some... Pepper Potts, new rescue armor, quote unquote. Now, whether she'll be called Rescue or not remains to be seen. This is the MCU, so it's kind of like Captain America was technically Nomad in the in Infinity War, but he never was actually given the title Nomad anywhere in the movie. So we kind of assume that he's Nomad. And they kind of said that he was, but also not. So I think we have to kind of keep all that with a grain of salt. Also, we know that, there are some shots of Nebula kind of getting upset and ready to attack. And we see Stark getting ready to attack, and they are on Titan. There's a chance that the two will probably come into conflict somewhere early in the movie. She sees him, thinks he's an enemy because she doesn't know. She tries to attack him, and then they find out they're on the same side, and then they kind of team up. They try to get in the ship, and they realize the ship is dead and won't fly, or something's wrong with the ship. He does that video, which could be entirely cut from the movie. There are a lot of times where they can use that kind of video, his message to Pepper, to do a trailer only and then never include it in the movie. Now, I honestly don't think that'll be the case. They'll probably include it somewhere. But I think, you can really look at a deep idea of that really fulfilled its purpose already and being in the trailer. So it's not going to have a huge, heavy weight on it unless it's the backbone of the story. And again, we don't know what the whole story is because we see them confronting Thanos. Chances are that's still early on. They team up, they go confront him, they fail again, and whatever the new big villain is, which has been teased on toys and everything, will come into light. In the comics, Thanos pisses off a bunch of Celestials and cosmic entities for what he did. And so they came after him in the comic. So, you never know. But I think that, looking at all that, you have this footage that, first of all, is amazing in that, and, a lot of the marketing has been using old movies and that. I mean, we had the main trailer where it had black and white with only the red showing. Now, I can tell you that not only does that look nice, there's a reason why they only showed red. Now, there's thought that they used the Reality Stone only, things like that. But I think something red is going to be important, or at least what it's highlighting. And again, it's hard to know because it's only the red things in the shots. We don't know. And then they just released a trailer recently of the... it's all the past movies, kind of listing them in release order so we know which ones to go watch, which is kind of a clever ploy because it gets you to buy all the other movies if you don't have them for Endgame, and then also advertises Endgame. And it also means they don't have to use any footage for Endgame or much footage because we already have it. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the quantum suits. And this has been a very interesting kind of roller coaster about these. Because they're not quantum suits, or at least that's not what they're called. So let's start at the beginning. Early, we got some toy leaks where they're wearing these bright white suits. All the Avengers are wearing these bright white suits. Captain Marvel does not have one. And that's been kind of clear early on. And there are a lot of theories as to why, maybe she's left behind, maybe she isn't on their side, or things like that. I think, we'll have to wait and see why. And I actually have some theories, which I'll talk about in part 2. Part 2 will be talk about my deep theories. But they, these white suits are, you see them on a bunch of the Avengers and stuff. And when they were first leaked, people were skeptical because it's literally a suit and then Iron Man's helmet for Stark. And, why would they do that? Why wouldn't he wear armor painted like that or make a suit of armor that's special? It's hard to know. Also, recently, an interview with Kevin Feige said that they call them the team suits. And really what the suits are fulfilling is a way for them to market Endgame separate from Infinity War. So that's part of the reason why Cap has a beard. He's missing the star on his suit. Black Widow had a completely different hair color Now she's kind of has like a reddish blonde. Um, and you have a bunch of these internal ideas. Um, and part of it is you have these characters that look different and are kind of different from their usual look. Then if you look in Endgame, they kind of go back to their original look, and the idea is that Infinity War is kind of like the ugly duckling, so to speak, of the of the MCU or whatever, or of the Avengers movies, where it kind of follows a slightly different narrative, and it's about Thanos, not about the Avengers. Now it's about the Avengers, not Thanos, and they wanted to market it because originally it was going to be Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. However, they didn't want Infinity War Part 1 to be, or Part 2 to be considered Part 1. So they wanted it to be known that this is a completely different movie, and a good way of doing that is visually changing it. The Avengers are changing back to the original thing, but they're also wearing these white suits, which set it apart from every other thing. It also kind of shows that they have a sense of pride, kind of like a sports team wears the same uniform, things like that. It's like, hey, we're the Avengers, stand down, Now I will tell you, the shot of them walking, or the shot of them kind of standing and approaching Thanos, none of them are wearing the white suit, which means that either the white suits take place after, or the suits can disguise themselves as their things, or the suits are only for a small bit, or something. I honestly think the suits won't perform the function that we think it's going to. Everybody has a theory as to what those are. Everybody's calling them the quantum suits. I honestly think they are going to surprise us what those suits are for, and they will be a completely different thing than we thought. I could be wrong. Again, that's what a theory is it could be wrong. But hopefully, you never know. But that's kind of my theory in that. So now that we've kind of talked about what's been introduced, what we know from the series, I'm going to end part 1 here. And part 2 is going to pick up tomorrow. And I will be discussing some of my theories based on comics, some of my harebrained, crazy theories that might have no bearing on any situation but are interesting. And I'll also probably be talking about my, how the Lego sets tie in, again, using some of my harebrained, crazy theories. But anyways, look forward to part 2 tomorrow. And until next time, nerds unite.